Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? So we are going to talk about some reports that I've had because I was kind of asleep not too long ago. And so I wanted to go ahead and kind of show you guys some of the most deadly kill reports for this week. So, having that said, alright, I counted 9 rallies while I was offline total. All right, so I was offline for almost pretty much all of these. Okay, and I did get help from a handful of guilds, T45 and even FA1 and oh man, I mean basically the 281 alliance. But you know, if I forget a name, I apologize. But needless to say, a lot of guilds came in to come help and support and reinforce. But initially, all right, the first rally that went through, they basically sent this lineup. They ended up losing so much. It's crazy. I mean, look at that. You know, it's all gone. It's pretty much completely zip. And this, of course, if you guys have always heard, this is the basically the new, you know, an improved little version that I was using. Of course, you know, to be honest with you, I personally love to use like somewhere like 6 mil or 4 or 5 mil tier 2 across if it was me. But this is just what I had at the time. So pretty much, you know, I had, obviously, as you can tell, just one set of reinforcements. But of course, you know, let's go ahead and watch the battle. Let's actually see how this went. So, as you can tell, I mean, basically, right the heck away, they basically lose their whole front line. I mean, look at that. I mean, it goes away so fast. I mean, look at that. It just melts away. It barely gets a chance to really do any damage. Granted, you know, my morale is at 91, but I mean, still, you know, for tier 4, this ain't looking so great. Like, look at that. I mean, absolutely, completely discombobulated all those troops now. And of course, you know, come through, clear out the destroyers, and then, of course, cap the leader, right? Now, you know, the beauty of these, you know, reports, right, that I have showed to you is that they're basically 900,000 tier 4 apiece. So this is the second rally. Mind you, I wasn't online, so I've gone through 2 rallies at this point. I have 400,000 wounded, and we've already lost. Yeah, you can do the math in your head later, but if you want to take the time, put a calculator together, I'll let you take a look at these bloody reports. So, again, kind of an iffy frontline in choice of heroes, but as you can tell, like, these guys, yeah, they didn't get a whole lot out of this, as you can tell. And again, more or less the same. Not really losing so much here. Obviously, it's just now starting to weaken just a little bit. All right, and again, same reinforcements, more or less the same thing. Now, you might notice that this is an infantry phalanx and a ranged phalanx. This guy here sent a ranged phalanx, but didn't have any range in it. Why? Who knows? Basically lost his butt on that. So, again, another leader cap. At this point, I am now taking reds. 10 million might drop, million dead. Looks pretty bad, right? But granted, this is 80 million might we're losing here. Okay. And again, looking at those numbers, you've probably guessed it. Yes, obviously, if I was online, I would have preferred this not to have happened. But there's 100,000 dead there. 80k, 80k. Look at that, boys. That couldn't get any worse. And ladies and gents, should I say? But of course, as you can tell, at this point, a million drop. That's a pretty harmful thing to see. I really kind of wished I could have avoided that. But at this point, again, say more or less the same. Shout out to Twizzy, aka my best buds in Wolfpack. Again, another 900k. But again, look at that, guys. What in the heck are they doing? You know, like at this point, they're now sending infantry on a ranged phalanx, you know, and obviously they're not packing a whole lot. And again, you know, nice impressionable amount of heroes. You know, they're not like really bad heroes. You know, the funny thing is, did I mention that I was an offline? You know, and not even in war gear. You know, like, I mean, this is nuts. You know, like. And again, at this point, I've only lost 700,000 sharps and 78,000 snipers. Okay, and they, yeah, yeah, you can imagine that that's probably not so great. And again, there's 9 rallies like these. So here 378,000, still another 900,000 dead. And now at this point, they've got 1,000,000 and 1,000,000. And again, look at that. I mean, again, an impressionable number of heroes there and choice, but again, look at all the dead. It's like barely getting there. And again, at this point, I mean, what, 378,000? I mean, really? And again, only 134k in reinforcements. All right, next rally, different leader, and there's 466,000 dead. 77 million pint drop. Different rally leader, different rules. 1.4 million total. Again, look at that, look at that. 87,000, 12, 60, 20, 50, 30. Yeah, I mean, as you can tell, they aren't getting very far. And again, 383k, 83k. I ain't hurting. And at this point, we're just now starting to win the reinforcements. Okay. All right. And again, now he's an infantry phalanx. He's countering my phalanx. So now we're getting to a point where, this may not be so great. So there's another 398,000, a 13 million might drop, but still 75 million might and total loss gone. And at this point, again, more or less the same thing, just really poor choice of heroes, really. And you can tell that, obviously this just really didn't work out so well for them. They really didn't, as you could say, they really, I mean, at this point, 100,000, okay, not so great, right? So at this point, now it's very clear that I'm actually taking a loss here. Like this, at this point now, it's not so great. Reinforcements are back, but again, up to this point, I have yet to really have a solid million reinforcement. And there's 155k dead there. And again, it's look at the numbers are dwindling here. I think they're running out because there's another 78k. I mean, as you can tell, the losses here are tremendous. I think the individual troop loss here is just, there's 123,000. Obviously, we're still, we're getting kind of crippled here, as you can tell. But still, here we come at, another, 38k wounded this time. Now, you're probably wondering, well, wait a minute. What's happened? Well, at this point, I started getting reinforced. So, basically, at this point, okay, 1 million cavalry for whatever reason. And again, more dead. And for what reason, no one knows. As you can tell, it's a bloody massacre. Only 38k. And now the reinforcements have come to kind of help and alleviate the stress. So you can see some of the range has come in here to kind of help and alleviate and soak up a good chunk of the damage. And so I'm not really taking any losses really at this point. And they pretty much at this point basically stopped altogether at this point. And that was pretty much it. After, as you can tell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rallies at 900k a pop. Now, obviously, I want to show you the last rally, which is the one that I was reinforced with. Because I know some people have asked me about this, and they've asked, time and time again, like, what is going on here? Why is this working? Why does this work? Well, part of the reason why it works the way this does is that my overall strength on the actual anti-front line for these is so good that basically these guys just keep sending the wrong. I mean, they really should have just sent all infantry multiple times in a row, but it doesn't help that these guys are not gold champ players. They are, on the other hand, gold normal gear players, okay, with some mythic tier pieces. But as you can tell, every single time, especially once I start getting reinforced, the minimal losses that I take here is so low that at this point, I could keep going all day long, and it won't really change anything. Because basically the idea being, right, is that your front line, okay, which in this case is range, okay, you got to have just enough that you basically essentially eat the attack, and so what happens is that, okay, so if I've got, say, range, right? If the range that I've got is strong enough, okay, against the anti-front line, which in this case, is so divided between infantry and cavalry, that basically what ends up happening is once the infantry end up actually piling through, it's too late, because the cavalry that I have, right, and the infantry that I have, well, they basically screw up the range that they put in the march. And then the existing range that I already have screws up the drakes. Because essentially by putting, and again, just to give an idea, this is an infantry phalanx, right? Okay. Had they been sending like anything, like just assume, okay, a range phalanx having infantry and cav in the back with range in the front, right? They're sending this. So where they're kind of messing up here, right, is what happens is this range disappears, and now it's infantry versus basically infantry and cav on a cav backline. But the problem is that your cav backline, right, and your range backline, they didn't have any range. So they're not countering the cav that I've got back here. And they're sending their cav units to try and mess up my infantry, but I've got a full cav backline to counter that. So the infantry that they send gets messed up pretty darn bad because of this. Now, of course, I think in a good day, obviously, had I not had the reinforcements that I did at the last moment, and had I not gotten online, I probably would have easily been screwed. Okay, but after 9 rallies, they essentially added 20 million kills to my account. And again, I was in familiar gear, or not even familiar, it was gather gear. Okay, so this is the kind of gear that I was wearing at the time. And as you can tell, I don't have any attack jewels in that gear whatsoever. All right, and if you want to know what my stats look like, right? Okay, this is what my gear and stats would look like. So I had 205 and 242 in cav. I had 177, 158, and 319. And again, it goes to show that, obviously, the best of rally traps out there, they don't even need to be 500 or 600 mil. There are some of them out there now that are doing it as low as 192 million might. And you can look them up and find them. In case you want to know a name, you can look up Smoke. You'll find a guy that is kind of, well, coincidentally has figured out the magic trick. But of course, like any good magician, they like to hide their tricks. But having that said, as you can tell, you can see that with even after the losses, you can see I've already built up 200,000 or 300,000 back, and I've already got 150k back of cannoneers. And at this point, now that I have the basically I've got the convocation ability, which gives me 6,000 random tier 4 units every 3 days and 16 hours, and of course I'll keep upgrading. I don't expect this to be really an expensive loss for me at all compared to what they did. So needless to say, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. And needless to say, if any of you guys are looking for a guild, Wolfpack 1 is currently recruiting anybody above 75 million might. So if you're interested and want to be able to kind of help and maybe join in, you're more than happy to apply. I will warn you, though, that if you are below the might, you will not be let in. So, having that said, I will hopefully see you guys out in the KVK coming up soon, and I'll see you then.